What if I told you that what we celebrate as art today would have been unrecognizable and preposterous to nearly every civilization before us? When did beauty stop being the purpose of art? And as we've been caught up in this race into modernity, what have we lost in the process? Hi everyone, Allison here from Majesty Project. Today we're going to be diving into something that affects all of us, whether we realize it or not. The radical shift in Western art over the past century and what it reveals about our changing relationship with goodness, truth, beauty, and our Christian roots. This is not just about paintings hanging in museums. It's about how we understand our purpose, our culture, and ultimately the values that we want to express. The story of Western art's transformation offers us a window into something much, much deeper, the soul of our civilization. For most of Western history, art served a higher purpose. Artists from Giotto to Rembrandt created works that pointed beyond themselves toward Almighty God. Goodness, truth, and beauty were rightly seen as objective realities, not just personal opinions. The medieval cathedral was not just a building, but a physical representation of our honor and our respect for God. A Renaissance portrait was not just capturing a likeness, but striving to reveal the dignity of the human person made in God's image. Beauty was not just subjective to feeling, but the splendor of truth made visible. But something profound shifted in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. As Western society began rejecting wholeheartedly the idea of transcendent and objective values built on biblical truths, art followed suit. If there is no universal truth or beauty, then art becomes purely subjective, a matter of self-expression rather than the pursuit of the divine. This shift was no accident. Philosophers like Nietzsche declared, "God is dead." The horrors of 2 world wars shattered the West's faith, and artists increasingly turned inward, abandoning representation for abstraction, objective beauty for subjective expression, and craft for chaos. Consider for a moment how Marcel Duchamp's fountain, which is literally a store-bought urinal that he signed and displayed in 1917, deliberately challenged the very idea that art required skill, beauty, or meaning beyond what the artist declared. This was not just a provocative statement, but a philosophical revolt against what God ordained as beautiful. Or look at the abstract expressionism in the 1950s, where Jackson Pollock's drip paintings celebrated randomness and the artist's emotional state rather than ordered beauty or any amount of technical mastery. The message was crystal clear. The artist's self-expression trumped any outside standard of beauty or truth, especially that of the God of the Bible. No one was going to draw boundaries or set expectations. We were freeing ourselves from any and all external forces. By the late 20th century, art increasingly became about changing, challenging, and subverting rather than creating beauty or pointing to God. Damien Hirst's Shark in Formaldehyde and Andres Serrano's mockeries of Christianity weren't asking us to contemplate beauty, but rather to question whether beauty mattered at all. And beyond that, to openly taunt our faith in their work, knowing that it's culturally acceptable to laugh in Jesus' face and that the modern church won't do anything about it. What have been the consequences of this shift? First, art has become increasingly alienated from the general public. When average people need an expert with an art degree to explain why something is important art, that is proof that we have strayed very far from the good, the true, and the beautiful that God intended for us. Second, artistic education has shifted from training in craft and technique to theoretical approaches that prioritize novelty and personal voice over skill development. Many Western art schools today barely teach any amount of traditional drawing skills, as hard work has been labeled elitist and unnecessary. Tolerance, acceptance, and equity are valued above all else, and to the severe detriment of our artwork. Third, and perhaps most significantly, we've abandoned God altogether. When art was connected to Christian values, it spoke to our common humanity and to our desire to strive for more. Now, our abstract and viscerally secular artwork pulls us down to the lowest common denominator, meaninglessness. The irony is that while modern art theory celebrates diversity and inclusion, the actual audience for contemporary art has shrunk to a very, very small elite group. Meanwhile, traditional art museums remain packed with visitors of all backgrounds, drawn to the eternal truths that genuine beauty embodies. This is not about rejecting all modern art or suggesting that we return to the paintings like the Renaissance masters. It's about recognizing what happens when we disconnect art from biblical values. At the Majesty Project, we believe that beauty matters, not merely as a preference, but as a pathway to something beyond ourselves. When we create or appreciate truly beautiful art, we're participating in something larger than our individual tastes. So I will leave you with this question. What kind of culture are we creating when beauty is merely in the eye of the beholder? And what might be possible if we reclaimed art's connection to divine truth, goodness, and beauty? If this resonates with you, consider joining us here at the Majesty Project, where we're working to restore beauty's rightful place in our culture. Like this video, subscribe for more conversations about art and culture, and share your comments and thoughts below.